As a little kid, I spent most afternoons at my grandmother's house. You know, everyone has names for their grandmas. You got Mama, Nanny. How many of y'all got a nanny? How many of y'all got a Mama? I know I got a cousin, they call their grandmother Pooh. We go into Pooh's house. My own kids, they call my mom Mim, and they call Melanie's mom Gigi. My paternal grandmother, my dad's mom, we called her Nana. And so that's my grandma was Nana. And Nana lived right across the street from the elementary school that I went to. And so most days, as soon as that bell would ring, I would cross over the blacktop and I would go and hang out at Nana's house. I'd run around the yard. I'd play make-believe. She'd give me a penny. I grew up in the country, y'all. She would give me a penny for every soldier grasshopper I could catch. Now, if I have any gardeners in the room, you'll understand why she hated soldier grasshoppers so much. They're those big black and red grasshoppers. They would eat up all of her garden, so she would pay me pennies to go and catch them. And later on, you know, I'd go in and she'd make me an egg sandwich, scrambled egg sandwich. And I'd sit on the floor in front of that massive 22-inch screen TV. And she'd put on the news and she'd make me watch Tom Brokaw with her. Because she had a little thing for Tom Brokaw. Well, everything seems fine. Yeah, she just, I just love that man's voice. She would make me watch the news with her, and without fail, every day, someone was going to show up at her house. They would come and they would drink coffee. And to my knowledge, I don't remember anyone ever calling ahead of time to say, well, Miss Betsy, can I come by? No, they would just show up. And it was well known that she would have coffee and she would have them big old tea cake cookies ready for anybody that passed through. And as a kid, I listened. Now, they thought I was watching that big, huge 22-inch screen TV, but a lot of times I was listening as people, young and old, would come by to visit. They would ask her for advice, or they would just come to vent to her. And you know, in spite of her own faults, she often played the community counselor. You know, as a 6 or 7-year-old boy, I remember seeing these big, tough, big old beards, these big old guys that still smelled like diesel in the logging woods. I remember watching men like that get choked up because they were telling my grandmother about how they were going through a rough time in their marriage. I remember watching these prim and proper church ladies, the ones that they would have that bluish white hair, and every single hair was just in place. They'd have their little brooch on. And I'd watch them come in and they would sit and chat, and then I would see them dabbing tears from their eyes because they were talking to my grandmother about how they were worried about their grandson, that he had been getting into things that he shouldn't have. In between their breaks from discussing the latest events in the days of our lives, my Nana and her best friend Ernestine, they would discuss what's going on with the community. And look, don't get me wrong. Let me pull back here. My grandmother would often quote the Bible. She would pray for people, but look, she was real. I'll never forget the time that she told a young woman who was having a lot of problems in her life. She said, Miss Bet, I just don't know I just can't get things straight. And without missing a beat, my grandma said, well, baby, if you quit sleeping around town, you'd fix a lot of your problems. And as a 6 or 7-year-old, I can remember thinking to myself, well, why? She should be sleeping at home. You don't need to be sleeping around town. There's coyotes out here. Wasn't until I was older that I realized Nana was being a little... But here's the deal, is the door was open. The door was open at her house to anyone. It didn't matter, young, old, well-to-do, dirt poor, white, black, churchy person, or even the person that the only time they darkened the door of the church was if somebody begged them. The thing is her door was open.